Hey guys, welcome to Challenges Education. In our current affairs section, we have started daily news analysis of All India Radio from newsonair.com. I hope this will help accelerating your preparation for government exams. Here the show begins.
News analysis, we now bring you a discussion on government initiatives of farmers' welfare. The participants are Dr. Suresh Malhotra, Agriculture Commissioner, and Urmi Goswami, journalist.
This week, the Cabinet Committee on Economic Affairs, chaired by Prime Minister Modi, approved the increase of the minimum support price for all kharif crops for the current season. What we saw was a huge jump in the minimum support prices, not particularly for crops, coarse grain crops, and like jowar, bajra, ragi, maize, of course also for paddy and wheat, but clearly it is a new way of approaching the issue of MSP and a remuneration for farmers. Dr. Malhotra, what is the major impact, short-term and long-term impact of this unprecedented MSP coverage?
You are correct. Very recently, Cabinet Committee has approved MSPs, and you are aware that these MSPs are usually declared during the Kharif season, growing season, as growing of the crops. Now this is a time where sowing will happen, and also before the onset of Rabi season it is also done. It is an activity which is done twice in a year. It will have a direct short-term impact, as you have asked me. The most important short-term impact will be that coverage of the area under Kharif sowing will increase. This will be a kind of trigger that MSP, if it is enhanced, definitely it gives a very good signal to the farmer that he should cover more areas under those crops where he is going to get a kind of incentives. Because this is a kind of market intervention. I would like to say that this MSP declaration is a market intervention which helps and works as an indicator or decision making for the farmer for reserving the area under a particular crop for growing. Now Kharif season is in progress and sowing has already commenced, and monsoon now coverage is also slowly it is increasing, and though it was slow in between, but now it has again picked up and the coverage is more, and now direct impact is visible and area is increasing, and 350 lakh hectare area has been sown so far. So it has suddenly picked up because of this MSP declaration, which has given a kind of trigger.
Dr. Malhotra, that was of course a short-term impact, but there has been a lot of criticism about this increase in MSP, saying it's economically unsustainable. This kind of support may not be the best option available. And yet there are others who say that medium and long-term impact of this rise in MSP, the signal it gives, especially towards coarse grains that require less water and which can be grown in arid and semi-arid areas where there is not enough irrigation facilities. What do you say are the medium and long-term benefits that we are going to have?
Yes, just I have explained about the short term, then medium term. We can say that mostly medium term impact will be there. So long term, I think it will not be, because it takes a longer time, but we can link it with export, we can link it with import, because it is directly linked with our food security. So to ensure the food security, this is a kind of mechanism which is followed, that how we can ensure our food security. We can ensure our food security through more production. So how more production will happen? There are two ways. One is area should increase or productivity should increase. So productivity-led growth and area-led growth. So in a medium term, or even you can say that in the long term, it is going to affect that how we need to attain productivity-led growth. And with the less area, how more production could be made so that our food security that is addressed well. So this is the point. But as you have mentioned, that our small and marginal farmers, they are in the rain-fed ecosystem. And in the rain-fed ecosystem, it's a very fragile. So farmers, they are at a risk. If there are good rains, they will get good crop. If rains are not good, then he needs to go for the crops which needs minimal water. Minimal moisture is needed for their growth. So those crops are nutri-cereals. We have given a new word, nutri-cereals. Otherwise, earlier we were calling them coarse cereals. Now coarse cereals are grown in the fragile ecosystem where any, I should say, shortfall of the rain that adversely affects the crop, adversely affects the income of the small and marginal farmer of dry land ecosystem. So these are the nutri-cereal crops, and Government of India has declared National Year for Nutri-Cereals. So considering that point in mind, here enhancement of the MSP is more in case of sorghum, in case of pearl millet, in case of small millets, in case of maize also. So here you will find that the enhancement of MSP in some cases pearl millet 96%, jawar, sorghum we call them 50.09%. In case of smaller millets again 50.01%. So again for maize it is 50.31%. So these are the crops which are, I should say, these are the crop of adversities.
It's an interesting thing that you mentioned them as crop of the adversities. And I was thinking that given that there is a real danger of water scarcity because of climate change and other changes that are happening, we obviously clearly need to change the way we farm also. Because as we have seen in Punjab and Haryana, there are many districts which have now become black districts. So because groundwater table has receded so far that it's difficult or more expensive or the quality of water is not good. Now, do you think this move of increasing MSP, as you mentioned, in a huge amount, especially what we used to call coarse grain signals and now called nutri-cereals, do you think that will actually help us have a more sustainable agriculture rather than encouraging farmers or rather giving a signal as we did in the past, farmers should go for paddy and wheat?
Very correct. Because here we need to go for alternate crops. The areas where there is a deficit of water and water from underground that has been pumped out and now there is a lack of water and it has gone deeper. And now the time has come that farmers in those areas declared as dark zone. They need to come for the alternate crops where water is less requirement is there for those crops. So nutri-cereal are the crops where less water is needed. Then pulses comes. Then there are few more oilseed crops where water requirement is less. Here farmers, they need to go for alternate crops and slowly they need to shift toward these high value crops. Considering that point in mind, Government of India has enhanced MSP more for these crops so that adoption level will increase and farmers in those areas will adopt its cultivation. And now here the best utilization will be for the resources whatsoever available with them. So resource use efficiency will increase, sustainable agriculture part will be addressed, climate change impact, as we say, that will adversely affect. So here we need to have alternate crop plan. That's why Government of India has started one program, we call them Crop Diversification Program, CDP program. Under that, in those areas where green revolution was experienced, Punjab, Haryana and Western UP, in those areas where now a kind of threat has been observed on the scarcity of the water. So this alternate crop plan, CDP, is addressing those issues very well.
So you mentioned this, and of course you also mentioned oilseeds, which has another impact, which is a longer term impact or a medium term impact, I suppose, of actually reducing our import dependency, because we keep importing so much. Edible oil is something we import, and if we increase our domestic production, that will also mean our import bill reduces. So I suppose that is another favorable impact for us as an economy. We have been talking in the macro picture, the benefits that will come to the country as a whole. What about the benefits that come to the rural population?
You know that Honorable PM has already made a kind of declaration that we need to double the income of the farmers by the end of 2010. How this income will be doubled? That's why, keeping that point in mind, MSP is also one of the triggers. Apart from this, there are several other interventions. That how we can increase cropping intent, how the farmer can switch over to the high value crops, and what kind of mechanism he needs to follow so that he gets more value to his crop. From that point of view, Government of India has reoriented all of its ongoing schemes. So there are several ongoing schemes: National Food Security Mission, National Horticulture Mission, then we have Paramparagata Krishi Vikas Yojana, then Pradhan Mantri Krishi Sinchai Yojana, then we have Pradhan Mantri Fasal Bima Yojana, Submission on Mechanization. These are all the schemes which have been reoriented towards increasing the income. So these are the areas where now focus is there, reorientation has happened, and focus is on market, that how we can provide a good market to the farmer through MSP, because MSP has been declared. MSP, as I have mentioned, it's a kind of trigger. But in this case, procurement mechanism is also required to be now well addressed. That is the point now. That's a challenge before the government, and government is trying its hard that how we can provide good income. So it is just a start with, I should say. And now Government of India is discussing the several states also, because few of the states, they are having very good procurement mechanism, and few of the states, they have poor procurement mechanism. So there is no problem for the areas where procurement mechanism is strong. But we are worried about the areas just like eastern regions, Bihar, Odisha, Chhattisgarh, then northeastern region, where well-defined procurement mechanism. In some cases it is not there. Chhattisgarh it is there for rice. So here eastern region and northeastern region now is getting more focus because those areas does not have much procurement mechanism.
You mentioned that this MSP is just like a trigger. It's the first step. It's a signal. Do you think that it will help stem rural to urban migration, given that there will be more money in the rural area? Of course, our farming sector is overemployed, but people were coming away from villages because they had nothing else, no ways of making a living. Is that going to stop? Is that another impact of this trigger?
Yes, urbanization is happening. Now people are also shifting from rural to peri-urban to urban. This kind of mechanism is there. But now it's a kind of diversification, I should say. Because if we want to double the income of the farmer, then farmer needs to, apart from income from the farming, he needs to have other income sources from the allied sectors also. So allied sectors are required to be created, infrastructures are required to be created in the rural, so that farmer he gets all kind of, I should say, facilities related to irrigation, related to cold storage, related to warehouses, related to processing, industries. If those industries and such kind of infrastructure facilities are created, and now government is creating, and lot of good infrastructure is now coming up in those areas where rural support is there, and even you will find that recently that road access that has also been increased. So that has been increased. Here again, warehousing facilities are also created in the nearby areas where they can store their produce and market. Farmer producer organization.
You mentioned MSP as a trigger, which basically means there have to be other things that have to happen, that the government needs to do to ensure that the promise of a higher MSP gives the right returns. What are a few steps that you think the government should be taking or is taking immediately?
First step, as you know, that MSP has been declared, and MSP has been declared for 14 crops for this Kharif season. So it is a kind of good trigger, as we have discussed. But here, procurement mechanism, that is now required to be strengthened. But sometimes farmers, they does not get good rate for their produce. So from that point of view, we are also educating the farmers that farmer needs to have mini processing plants in those areas. Even those facilities could be utilized through custom hiring centers where he will get his produce processed. If he gets his produce processed, because cleaning, grading, these all things will be done, then he will definitely get the good price of the produce. So some kind of value addition is required to be done, and primary processing facilities are now being created at the FPO's level, and even machineries, because there are few machineries which are costly and every farmer cannot afford it. So through custom hiring centers, such kind of facilities is now being created. Another point is there that now import duty has also been enhanced in some cases. If import duty is enhanced by the government, definitely farmer is going to get a good price of his produce. And in some cases, export incentives are also given by the government. So these all are the interventions which are now in force, and Government of India has already taken initiatives and necessary steps on these all parts so that income of the farmer is enhanced in real sense.
Dr. Malhotra, would it then be right to say that the big impact of the MSP announcement is actually like a first step towards a different kind of an agricultural revolution?
Definitely now we are on the way towards the second revolution, I should say. Because earlier green revolution happened when enough land was available with us. And again, few varieties, they did wonder. But now challenges are altogether different. Now the point is how we can provide good price to his efforts, how those dues can be provided. So market mechanism is now being strengthened, procurement mechanism is being strengthened, infrastructure facilities are being created. So these are the interventions which Government of India is now doing for this purpose.
Dr. Malhotra, thank you for explaining this unprecedented move to increase the ambit of the MSP, both in terms of the number of crops and the kind of crops, and the impact it will have on the country as a whole and on the farming community and for agriculture in this country. Thank you once again.
In the end, I would request you all to please subscribe to our channel if not done yet, so that you can get an instant notification for the videos we upload. God bless you all.